Hello and welcome back to the Social Jar Extra episode 2. Back once again, I'm your host Dan Wiseman, and as always, I'm joined by Andreas Georgiou and Beth Dunkley. Last week, we discussed the topic of Ronaldo returns, and what a topic this was. It absolutely dominated our social media feeds. But this week, we're back with a topic that has surprisingly gone under the radar slightly on social media, hasn't dominated our feeds like Ronaldo did. But in my eyes, and I'm sure in Andreas's and Beth's too, it's just as seismic. So this week, we're going to be talking the fact that this month it was reported, according to an app analytics firm, App Annie, that Android users, and this is important to sort of caveat because it's not iOS just yet, but there's nothing to suggest that the data would be any different. The study suggests that Android users now spend more time on TikTok than YouTube. So the stat is the average view time per user is now greater on TikTok than it is on YouTube. It said that by June this year, users of TikTok on average consumed 24 hours of TikTok content a month. Absolutely crazy, that, guys, isn't it? So you're losing 1 day per month just on TikTok compared to, and it's not a massive gulf, but it's 22 hours and 40 minutes on YouTube. And now this is actually something that kindly someone sent in on Instagram earlier today. One of the replies was, it's just because it's perfect content for when you're on the loo. So are people really spending a day a month on the toilet, guys? How is it that TikTok has come so early in its sort of lifespan as a social media app? How is it that it's come to overtake an absolute Goliath like YouTube?
When we were in the office this week and we mentioned to Josh, Infinity Studios director, video production expert, that more people on Android are watching TikTok than YouTube. He was almost dumbfounded. He couldn't believe it. He was like, there's just no way that more people are watching TikTok, short form content, over YouTube, which is, traditionally more long form content. If you go in your YouTube deep dives, you end up spending hours and hours on YouTube on these 10, 20-minute videos. So when you put those side by side, they are the antithesis of each other. You've got your TikTok, which traditionally, you're around 10, 15 seconds, but it does go up to 3 minutes, whereas YouTube baseline generally is 3 minutes, and it can go up anywhere up to an hour, usually, depending what kind of content it is. Obviously, there's a lot of live content on YouTube as well, a lot of watch-alongs in the football world, which do very, very well view count-wise. But when you put them side by side, guys, I mean, Dan, when you told me that stat, even I was shocked. Look, I watch a lot of TikTok. I love TikTok. But to think that people are spending more hours on TikTok as Android users, and yes, as you said, it's not for iOS as well. But when we look at that data, I'm pretty shocked. I am genuinely very shocked. And I guess we're all falling into that trap, which is what happens with TikTok is one more video. I'll go on one more video. And then you end up spending 40 minutes stuck on the toilet, guys. I'm sorry. It's just, you can never get off when you're on that constant TikTok scroll.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually quite interesting that you say, Andreas, that, you can only believe. But I mean, the data actually suggests that TikTok could have actually overtaken YouTube in this metric over a year ago in the UK. Apparently, it did so over a year and a half ago. So in the US, it's more recent. Apparently, in the UK, we're very avid lovers of TikTok here. But I mean, Beth, this is surprising for me particularly, and the reason why I think it surprised me is because all of the controversy that has surrounded TikTok in the 2 years. I don't think I've seen an app be so controversial and yet so successful simultaneously. You cast your mind back to Trump's presidency, where he had a lot of beef with TikTok, tried to get it banned on a couple of occasions. There's been privacy concerns. They've had trouble over in China as well. They've done so well. I mean, it's still, it was the most downloaded app of 2020. It's still the most downloaded app. In 2021, in July alone, it was downloaded more than 63 million times across the globe. It's incredible considering how many people it seemed to have riled up, and it's certainly rustled a few feathers that it's managed to be the most popular social media app. It's comfortable to say by far.
It really surprised me when I heard it, because I thought about it, because when I heard it, I thought I spend well more time on YouTube than I do on TikTok. But then when you think about it, I was like, you spend a deceptively long time on TikTok, as Andreas said. So I'll usually plan to go on YouTube. Like, I'll think, there's a video I want to watch when I get in, so I'll watch it, or I'll be doing my makeup. I think, I'll put some YouTube on. Whereas TikTok is one where I go, I'll open the app for a second, and then, as you say, 2 hours later, I'm still scrolling through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's why I think probably speaking from my experience, I don't plan to spend a lot of time on TikTok, but it just happens. And like if you added it all up, I probably do spend 24 hours in a month on it. So yeah, I think it is that deceptive, just thinking it's been a few minutes when actually it's been ages that you're on there.
Definitely. It catches us all out, and it's something that we ran a poll on our Twitter feed, and this is one to break down. I mean, we asked people to say which was their favorite, or which one do they spend more time on. I suppose it's a slightly different question to which is your favorite. We had a few replies which were actually quite interesting. Steve Hinman came back with TikTok. It's shorter videos, meaning it's easier to digest in brief pockets of time, e.g. on the loo. This was the response that I referenced earlier. Mitchell came back and said, YouTube all day long. It's rarely TikTok unless it's linked to me or shared on other platforms. Another response saying, YouTube, it's still my go-to video on a daily basis, even though I opt for now Netflix and Prime Video. So I suppose, again, it's referencing that more long-form content that you spoke earlier about, Andreas. But the results, which I really want to put to you, Andreas, because this will stitch you up slightly, is that we ran a poll on Twitter. Easy enough. TikTok or YouTube, 50-50. So it's clear that people's allegiances still haven't quite found one platform or the other. But I suppose the next way to take this discussion, guys, is what does this mean for YouTube, Andreas? Like, what is this? Just their strength and their vast power, they still have far more, their user base is still far greater than TikTok. Will that power prevail? Or is this the beginning of a change of the guard, do you think, as far as the video content industry is concerned?
Look, YouTube will always be the king when it comes to, user generated content. And I think that, TikTok can, have more watch time or more views and more downloads, but the way we consume TikTok as general users is very different to YouTube. TikTok is often viewed as throwaway content, which is why in the very beginning, when TikTok first started to build up steam, there were a lot of big brands that were apprehensive to get on TikTok. It had this stigma attached to it. It's just dance videos. It's just, short form comedy. How can I leverage this as a brand? And, if we look at the beginning of the pandemic, a lot of people were kind of using TikTok just as a method of passing the time. But as we know now, football clubs, big brands, big sports companies, big clothing companies are all using TikTok and leveraging it to reach a younger demographic and a younger audience. Now, YouTube, I'm not saying isn't for a younger audience, because they definitely skew that way as well. You just have to look at the creators like Mr. Beast, Ninja, and what they're able to achieve on YouTube, and with that younger, Fortnite style audience, I guess you could classify it as. But I don't see YouTube going anywhere anytime soon, and they are the kings, as I said. They've got their own short form content called Shorts, which they've actually done a really good job to integrate into the feed. So if you go on a specific YouTube page, the Shorts are now listed in their videos in the same way as a normal YouTube video were. So very well integrated. I think it's 50-50. It makes sense to me, really, because I think they're still two very, very different apps for very different purposes. Like Beth says, YouTube is really more thought out, in my opinion. I'm not saying that TikTok isn't thought out content, but YouTube, you've got your mini documentaries on there. You've got your vlogs. It's really, really big for the vlogging community. And being somewhere where you can make a 20-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour video and have that creativity and freedom, obviously usurps TikTok, which is only up to 3 minutes. And let's be honest, who's spending more than 20 seconds on a TikTok video anyway? So, there's creativity on both sides. One's about short form, one's about long form content. And I think for now, they're both going to coexist absolutely fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that there is, I think whilst there still will be that struggle for which is the more sort of engaging, I suppose, as to which platform people are spending more time on and stuff like that. But the fact that TikTok has in the social media industry, I don't think we've seen really something that's come into the industry this seismic and had such a massive effect, where you've had Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook now have all tried to have their take on, the TikTok feed Twitter is really the only mainstream platform, apart from like WhatsApp, if you're going into sort of platforms like that haven't had a crack at it. So I don't think we've really seen anything like this that's come in and had such a massive effect on the sort of video industry, if you will, as a whole. But you're right in that the platforms are inherently very different. You only have to look at the orientation of the videos to see that they're sort of aimed at two different purposes. But Beth, I think you're someone that I think has had a crack at a whip as both a TikTok creator and a YouTube creator. As someone who's on that side, not a viewer as we're talking about on this, but as the people that the views are engaging with, as a creator, which do you prefer to use? And as someone that's going to go forth, assumingly using both platforms, do you see yourself sort of edging towards either one?
Controversially, I think TikTok is more fun as a user. Like, it is, I hear a sound or see a trend and I think, oh, I really, really want to film a TikTok now. I can really quickly do it and it's fun. Whereas YouTube, I enjoy doing it. I love doing it. But as you say, it takes a lot more planning. There's a lot more, you have to focus a lot more on the engagement. So like a video is up forever. Obviously it is on TikTok as well, but it's always there more clearly on your profile and you can go, oh, this has only got 100 views, or this one's got 1,000. Why? And thinking about that. Whereas on TikTok, I feel like it's more of a post and go situation. You post it, you might look back on it the next day and go, oh, that's got quite a few likes, but I don't really think about it again. Whereas there's videos I posted 3 years ago where I'm going, why isn't that doing as well as the one I posted the other day? So I think it's more fun to make TikToks, but I am instinctively inclined to say that YouTube, I think it's going to have more longevity. I've been going on YouTube and watching it every day since I was about 13. So that's like 13 years now. Whereas TikTok, I'm surprised by how big it is, because when it started and it was Musical.ly, and I remember do you remember when it was Musical.ly and it was just people lip syncing songs and it was really cringy and everyone's little sister and brother on it, and I was like, oh, that's like, but then obviously it changed to TikTok and now it's huge, and it surprises me that I'm even using it. If you'd have told me 5 years ago, I would have been like, watching it all the time and making TikToks, I would have been like, what are you talking about? But it has changed so much into content for everyone. But yeah, I'm inclined to say YouTube, just based on past record, has more longevity. But obviously, I don't know. In 10 years, I could be watching TikToks and never going on YouTube. So we don't know.
It's very true.
I'm going to throw one quick argument into that. And I think, Beth, you touched upon it there, which is that YouTube is still, in my opinion, the top end of YouTube is still looked upon as being professional careers. People who, I want to be a YouTuber and want to professionalize themselves and create a business and create a lifestyle out of it. The YouTube has changed the lives of thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people, allowing them to monetize their content. Family vlog videos. Who'd have thought? Just filming yourself going around the park or going to Disneyland, and you're getting, 1 million views. And that's the true power of YouTube. And that's why, like you say, Beth, if you're a YouTube creator, metrics are so important. What's the watch time? What's the retention? What's the click-through rate? That's that professional side of it is really, really critical. Whereas with TikTok, we haven't got that yet. We can't see how many people scrolled by and didn't watch the video. We can't see, how many people are replaying the video and watching it multiple times. That side of the business isn't there yet. And I think maybe when it is, this conversation can take on a new lease of life. But for now, if we're talking about it, TikTok, yes, of course, that has changed many people's lives as well. Charlie D'Amelio, a perfect example of that, and it will continue to change a lot of people's lives as well. But when we're looking at them side by side, hey, we're YouTube boxing, Jake Paul, the biggest boxer on the planet. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's the biggest boxer on the planet, highest paid athlete in boxing. And guess what? He's not a boxer; he's a YouTuber. So that says it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And look, YouTube is still the powerhouse. It's still undoubtedly the king of the video content throne. 2 billion users compared to TikTok's around 700 million, according to BBC News. So there is that massive user base. But the best thing about this debate, guys, is that uniform media aren't going to make you decide, because we're on both platforms. So check us out on YouTube. You can find the Social Jar. There's a bank of podcasts now there, isn't there, guys? This is the second Social Jar Extra, but we've got the regular Social Jar where Beth is swapped out for Ryan. So if you're not a fan of me and Andreas, unfortunately, we can't really help you with that, because we're going to be constant throughout. But Beth is going to be joining us on the Social Jar Extra every 2 weeks. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and enjoying this episode with us. We hope you like it. If you're watching along afterwards, subscribe wherever you're listening on YouTube. But if you're just joined this, the Twitter space, then it will be on YouTube, uploaded as a full podcast for you to go and listen to tomorrow. So you never have to miss a minute. How great is that? Guys, thank you very much for listening to the Social Jar Extra, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.